Do smart or prodigy guys really reach the point where they just want to drop everything and live by the corner of a lake on a deserted island? If yes, then this story is for those guys, to fantasize their lives. The story begins in the town of the royal capital, which is hustling and bustling, living through another peaceful day. However, their arch-enemy makes his entry, and everything starts going to hell. He is the ferocious Black Dragon, the strongest of the Demon King's lieutenants, and it hints that humans have a sworn enemy, the Demon King. The ugly bastard lets out a sharp screech that scares the hell out of everyone, and people start believing their end is near. To save them, the Royal Mages Corps led by an old man jumps into the scene and prepares their strongest offensive fire magic. They fire at him with full power and think they finally got him, but to their nightmare, the dragon flies unscathed. To make it even more hell, the dragon concentrates energy in his mouth and throws another strong attack. The mages quickly deploy their defensive magic spell, but the attack overwhelms their defense, throws them back and wreaks havoc in the town. The kids with smiles on their faces end up crying, and people despair, thinking it is their end. The old man cannot watch it anymore, and covers his eyes while the dragon prepares another attack. Just then a powerful human shows up, and usually the stories of the Demon King have a hero from the hero party to battle him. But this one is different, because he is not a hero from the hero party. He is a random powerful man who is also our protagonist, known as the Dark Emperor. He chants the spell, Seal of the Demon Breaking Barrier, and it instantly extinguishes the fire. The ugly bastard dragon is about to burst out. After that, he creates a divine annihilation spear and directs it at the dragon, but it does not cause much damage. Then our hero creates several spears to finish him off, but the dragon flares up in anger and throws a fireball at him. Our protagonist charges forward with his spear, which not only counters the fire but also pierces the dragon's steel body. The spear rips through and makes holes throughout his body, finishing him off for good. The people who are ready to die in despair jump up in excitement and cheer for the Black Emperor. Instead of giving some cocky speech, he just turns away and flies off. At the Adventurers Guild, he visits the receptionist and reports that he defeated the dragon and cleared the quest. She is amazed because it is said to be an impossible quest to clear. Blancc says they made a deal that if he took it down, then he could finally retire from being a Grade 0 adventurer. Hearing this, not only the receptionist but everyone who hears the news gets shocked. The reason is that only 8 people hold the title of Grade 0 adventurer, the strongest among humanity. The news of his retirement spreads across the globe like wildfire, and several people try to stop him or lure him to their side. But no one can stop him, and all those pathetic attempts fail because he is a straight-up legend. That is how the Black Emperor vanishes from existence, and only Blancc lives now. 3 years later, we see him moving to a new place to start over and live a new life. He ends up in another place called Claret, a town in the kingdom of Reunite. At first, he visits the Adventurers Guild and registers himself as a 10th grade adventurer. The receptionist introduces herself as Lena, but for us, she is waifu material for him, and she welcomes him to the kingdom while wishing him great success as an adventurer. This is how he starts his new life as a beginner adventurer. Blancc looks around and sees Claret is nice compared to the Radiola Empire, where the capital was prosperous but the foot traffic was unbearable, and he got tired of constantly being crushed by crowds. That is one of the reasons he left his hometown 3 years ago, switched up his combat style, and chose the sword to hide his identity. As he happily leaves the guild, the gatekeeper calls out to him and shakes his hand, saying it looks like Blancc managed to register safely. Blancc walks over and thanks him for giving him directions to the guild. The gatekeeper blabbers that this town is on the edge of the demon forest, so more adventurers are always a good thing, and he also says the territory of the second Demon King, one of the 5 Demon Kings, is basically next door. That is why monsters show up more than usual here. Blancc gets excited thinking the kinds of jobs labeled grunt work will pile up here, and that is exactly why he chose this country. After that, he says goodbye to the gatekeeper and goes to fulfill another goal. He visits the real estate office first before taking his first quest. Most adventurers focus on monster hunting, which means their money goes into buying and upgrading their gear, so they usually live in inns, and owning a solo house is pretty rare. However, his master told him he could rent or stay at an inn, but having a place to return to is a good thing. That's why he meets the old man at the shop and says he wants to buy a house that is spacious and has a bath. The old man says he has a place like that on the outskirts of town near the plains, but he cannot guarantee there will be no monster activity. If Blancc does not have an issue with that, they can go take a look, and our guy is not scared of monsters, so he goes right away. He looks around and sees the house is spacious and well furnished, exactly how he wants it. The only downside is the distance from the city, which might be a little inconvenient, but compared to living deep in the mountains, it is nothing. He quickly agrees to buy it right now. The old man says they have been struggling to find a buyer because of certain circumstances, so he asks how Blancc would like to handle the payment. Blancc shoves him a bag of gold coins right away, and says he will pay the full amount. The old man's eyes widen when he sees the sparkling coins, and he sells it on the spot. After that, Blancc calmly sits on the sofa and thinks 10,000 coins for this house is nothing compared to 10 billion for slaying a dragon. Even though it is a big house just for him, cramped places never sit well with him. He looks at his adventurer card and smiles when he sees he is finally a grade 10 adventurer. Now let us see the backstory of Blancc with his master. They stand next to the reception of the Adventurers Guild, and people are astonished to see he has already jumped to level 7 even though he just registered. They keep babbling at him, but his master tells him to ignore it and keep his head straight. She says this is a merit-based world, so he needs to shut those pathetic mouths with results, not arguments. After that, he clears his quests without any problems, and his achievements spread across the guild crazy fast. He reaches grade 0 at a very young age and becomes a celebrity known as the Black Emperor. The same ugly bastards who were trash-talking him suddenly start praising his moves like they never doubted him. His master hears the noise, calls him to her mansion and tells him his last task as her disciple is slaying the Black Dragon, the Demon King's servant, and once he does it, he will be free to go. He does not fully understand what she means by free, but he decides he will give it a try anyway. He goes to the receptionist where she tells him another noble has requested him by name, like it is just another normal day. He never turns down a request and he never fails to complete one, so he has basically become a living legend. Just then, several little kids come running in behind him, making noise like they are rushing to the park. The receptionist stops them and scolds them, telling them not to run indoors. Blancc asks who they are and she explains they are newly registered grade 1 recruits. They cannot take on monsters yet, so they start by gathering herbs and helping with city cleaning, basically grunt work to build experience. Blancc does not really get it because in his mind an adventurer is supposed to slay the Demon King's beasts. Then an old lady walks up to the kids and thanks them for helping her the other day. Seeing that, he realizes those small jobs still matter, even if they look pathetic at first glance. This is when he realizes their jobs seem small, but the herbs they pick become medicine, and keeping the streets clean prevents disease outbreaks. Even the tiniest tasks have meaning, because they are helping not just adventurers but everyday people too. He has been so focused on slaughtering that he never even notices any of that. It is true that adventurers exist to take down monsters, and he has done his part by hunting high-profile targets for nobles, but he still asks himself, what did that really mean? The monsters that nobles target live far beyond human territory, and they would not be hunted at all if not for a formal request. The monsters he kills become trophies, and their corpses turn into collectibles, chased for greed, not for any real purpose. The nobles' requests never stop, and the guild's rules will not even allow him to take low-grade jobs. But now he wants to do work that actually helps someone, and maybe his master expects all of this. That is why she gives him the freedom, so he can heal himself and find a reason to live that is not just killing. He does not have memories of who he is before he comes to his senses and meets his master, but now it does not matter to him anymore. Anyways, he is eager to get a new request, so he quickly gets up and starts the first day of his freedom. While moving, he cannot help wondering what his master is doing right now. His haughty master Cluall, also known as Sword Saint Cluall, is standing in front of the president, and the old man wants to know where the Black Emperor is. She tells him to give up already because it has been 3 years, but the president snaps back, saying it has been exactly 3 years, and they have a mountain of requests addressed to him. Cluall calmly suggests he uses any other special grade adventurer, but he says they will not go. She hits him with a taunt and says it sounds more like he cannot make them go, right? And the president looks ready to get angry. Before he can pop off, she unleashes her dangerous aura and asks who he thinks he is threatening. He cannot breathe properly, and he finally understands the power gap between grade 0 and grade 1, because she is grade 0 and he is grade 1. Cluall says she is only here out of old obligations, otherwise shaking off his surveillance would be trivial. Clutching his shirt, the president says that is exactly why they want Blancc back, because he is a special grade adventurer, and he still accepts their work. She shoves the papers off his table and corrects him, saying these are errands, not jobs. She says Blancc never had a will of his own, and they use that to run him ragged like a pathetic tool. She pushed him to become an adventurer so he could find his own strength and a reason to live. He was never meant to be their weapon, and now that he has found his own will, they have no right to interfere. After saying that, she turns around and takes her leave, while the old man sits there speechless. Outside, she wonders what Blancc is doing out there, because she has done her part, and now she plans to see him herself. Meanwhile, Blancc is back at the Adventurers Guild, staring at the board and searching for a quest that fits his first errand. He is ready to start fresh, and this time, he wants it to mean something. He notices there are lots of request slips hanging on the board, which basically means grade 10 jobs are not very popular. The higher the rank, the fewer the requests. But even at the lower ranks, monster hunts still get picked first. It looks like monster hunting starts from grade 9, so grade 10 is stuck with the boring stuff nobody wants. Still, he grabs a hurry a grass collection request and takes the form to Lena, who then puts his license in a box and shuts it down to process something. After she hands it back, telling him the request is accepted and logged into his license. He can check it anytime now, and Blancc is low-key amazed at how smoothly normal requests work. He snaps out of it and asks if she can show him a sample of the grass. Lena shows him Hiria grass with a twin leaf pattern, and suddenly his head feels like it is cracking open again, like this is not even the first time. Every now and then, knowledge he should not have floods into his mind, and it hits like a nasty headache. Guys, here is the major plot twist. Because why is he downloading info like some magic Wi-Fi? Does anyone want to guess what is going on, like is he isekai'd or regressed? Because something is seriously off. Anyway, he pulls himself together, thanks Lena for the sample, and says he will get started right away. Outside, he easily finds Hiria grass and keeps spotting more and more like it is growing everywhere. According to that painful knowledge, he should not yank it out, but instead cut the stalk clean near the base without damaging the roots. Then he is supposed to wrap the cut end in a damp cloth to preserve freshness, so it can grow back later. Following the instructions popping into his mind, he starts harvesting the herbs properly. Just then, his eyes catch a one-eyed slime, which is usually a weak monster, but it is still a Demon King spawn. Maybe it attacks on instinct, because it charges in like it is programmed to hate humans. If someone drops their guard, the slime can sneak up and suffocate them from behind without making a sound. Similarly, this slime tries to cheap shot him, but Blancc casually stomps it and turns the ugly bastard into straight mashup. He notices it drops a slime core, which is proof of defeat and something you can sell for money. But he is not short on cash, so he ignores it and rushes back to pick the remaining herbs. He returns to the Adventurers Guild with a bag full of herbs and realizes he gets so into it that he over-collects. He walks straight to Lina and sets the requested items in front of her for verification. She looks surprised at the amount, and he says he gets carried away and ends up gathering more than needed. Hearing that, she giggles and tells him he is a strange one, then says she will check it now so he should wait a moment. While he waits, he hears some guys talking about rumors that the demon forest has been acting strangely. They say high-tier monsters might be showing up near the entrance, and there is even talk of growls being heard inside the town. Still, they call it rumors, because if it were real, the gate guards would be raising hell right now. Blancc thinks to himself that the demon forest is said to be the home of the third Demon King, and they are supposed to be the most peaceful of the bunch. As he heads back toward the board, Lina comes running over, all excited, and tells him he did amazing work. Everyone is shocked at how good the condition of the Hiria grass is, especially from a first-timer. Hiria grass is essential for making medicine, but barely anyone takes those requests, so they are always short on supply. She is genuinely happy because thanks to him they can finally make up for the shortage. She hands him back his license and congratulates him on clearing his first request. With a pure honest smile, he takes it back and leaves while giggling to himself like some weird bastard, which makes people stare and wonder what is wrong with him. He is just excited because he is officially a certified errand boy now. The next morning we see him jumping over rooftops while searching for a cat for his new request. He finally finds it sleeping calmly in a corner, so he sneakily drops down and grabs it without fail. At first the kitty stares at him blankly, but when he gently rubs her face, she starts moving all over him and makes it hard for him to hold her. He checks the collar and confirms she is the requested cat, but she still refuses to get under control. For some reason, animals do not seem to like him, and the same goes for monsters, because they attack him with more bloodlust than usual. He starts feeling embarrassed in the crowd because it looks like he is assaulting a cat, and he decides to think twice before taking these kinds of jobs again. After this, he returns the cat to her owner, and the cat keeps dancing around like she does not want to go back to that pathetic hell. Then he heads to the trading company, where the owner introduces himself as Belmo, and explains the job is just loading goods onto wagons. The problem is there are a lot of them, and Blancc is the only one who agrees to take the request. These jobs are basically hard manual labor with trash pay, and if you damage the goods, you might even get charged, so most people avoid them. Blancc does not care about the payout, and even if they fine him he would not care either, because he is our richest protagonist in manga history. Anyone watching know other wealthy protagonists in manga? If yes, drop their names in the comments, because I am curious. Belmo complains that he wishes more adventurers would take requests that help the local community, but he also gets it because fighting monsters sounds way more exciting than restricted errands. Still, he points toward the factory and tells Blancc to load the goods onto the wagon as per the instructions. Blancc picks up more than one box in each hand like it is nothing, then asks if there is any specific loading order. Belmo is beyond shocked and just freezes for a second, like his brain stops working. He asks if Blancc can really carry that many at once, and Blancc calmly replies they are still pretty light. The other guys lifting boxes hear that and stare at him like he is some kind of monster in human skin. Instead of getting salty, they get motivated and start working harder, because now nobody wants to look pathetic next to him. One fatso gets jealous and tries to lift a box, but he cannot balance himself and is about to fall back on a girl. Just then Blancc rushes in and catches the boxes, stopping the whole ugly mess before it crushes anyone. He asks if they are okay, and the girl nods while blushing, then thanks him for protecting her. Even the chubby guy goes all sheepish, bows down and apologizes, while thanking Blancc at the same time. Blancc carries the first box to Belmo and asks him to check if the goods are still in good condition. Belmo smiles and says the goods are fine and the workers are in good condition too. Belmo grabs Blanc's hand and says he is way stronger than he looks, then invites him to work for them instead of being an adventurer. Smiling, Blancc appreciates the offer and says he is pretty fond of his lifestyle. Belmo does not insist and just says if Blancc ever changes his mind, he is always welcome. For someone who only knows how to fight, compliments like that hit different, and he is genuinely glad he becomes a grade 1 adventurer. From here on, he decides he will keep working and helping people. However, that dream breaks into pieces when he goes to the guild, and Lena congratulates him for being promoted to grade 9. Like an idiot, Blancc bluntly denies it and says no thanks because he would rather stay grade 10. Lena gets confused and asks what he means and what there is to complain about. She explains grade 1 is basically a provisional status, and once he completes a set number of jobs, he is automatically promoted to grade 9, then later grade 8. Blancc gets hit like an electric bolt. Hearing this, and he throws a tantrum, saying he finally becomes a grade 1 adventurer, and now some stupid rules are trying to take it away. Lena has never seen someone despair over a promotion before, and she just stares at this pathetic bastard like he is broken. She tries to make him understand that, as adventurers, they should do as much as they can for the public. Grade 9 opens extermination requests for weak monsters, and those ugly little bastards are still dangerous for people with no combat ability, so adventurers taking them down is what keeps the public safe. More importantly, she says their real duty is clearing out monster-infested zones and expanding safe territory for humanity. Blancc finally comes to his senses and agrees with whatever she is saying, even if it sounds like she is blabbering at first. He realizes he has been taking requests without thinking, so he decides he should hunt monsters at least for the people who cannot defend themselves. Lena adds that being a grade 9 adventurer does not mean he cannot take grade 10 quests. He can still gather herbs like he always does, and he lights up like a kid who just got his toy back. He agrees to the promotion right away. Lena takes his license, processes the rank promotion in that mystery box, then hands it back and congratulates him. Blancc looks at the license with a nasty glare and still looks upset, like the promotion personally offended him. Anyways, Lena says she has a request to assign him now that he is promoted, and she also mentions they have a new grade 10 adventurer. She is about to explain more, but the new girl cuts her off and asks Blancc if he is going to be her mentor. Blancc used to be the cute rookie, and now he has an adorable junior. Blancc flat out refuses to be a mentor, saying he is still a newbie and not qualified for that. Lena almost gets a heart attack and begs him to let her finish before deciding, because the guild formally requests it too. Plus, she says this is partly his fault, because he has been taking so many grade 10 requests that other rookies cannot rank up. Blancc pushes back and says he has been accepting them, but it is not like he is hoarding every single one. Lena clarifies that the real problem is the ones he is not taking. He has been avoiding animal-related requests like finding cats and other stuff, and it is obvious animals do not like their Pookie Boy. She explains these requests depend more on luck, and have a low success rate, so they keep piling up. On top of that, compared to Heria grass, rarer herbs and higher contribution herbs are harder to identify, which raises the overall difficulty and slows down promotion chances. Blancc gets depressed hearing it because back in the day requests used to pile up faster than they could even handle. He never imagines he could cause problems by taking too many, and now he feels like an ugly bastard who tried to help, but ended up messing things up. Seeing his sulking face, Lena apologizes and tells him she is not trying to complain. He did nothing wrong, and they actually appreciate how he has been handling the overflow of errand requests, because the herbs he delivers have an excellent reputation. It is just that no one has ever been this fixated on grade 10 requests before, so the guild is asking him for a favor. They want him to share his skills and knowledge with others, and they will compensate him properly since knowledge is valuable, so she asks if he would accept it. Blancc thinks it over, because he does not mind teaching the skills, but he is not even sure where his knowledge comes from, so he wonders if he can really pass it on. Still, he knows he causes these issues, so he cannot just ignore it. He is stuck because saying no feels selfish, but saying yes feels risky. In the end, he decides to accept the request and finally introduces his name to her. Being enthusiastic, she bows in front of him and introduces herself as Arya, saying she is looking forward to it. He tells her not to be so formal, but she insists there is a need for manners since she is learning from her senior. Her energy actually impresses him because most adventurers avoid errand requests, and his eyes sparkle thinking she might be a fellow errand lover comrade. Lena hands them back their licenses and wishes them good luck. Their first request is collecting herbs, that's why they head out right away. Outside, Blancc asks her what she knows about herbs, and she admits she only knows Heria grass, so he decides to start with Heria grass and keeps it simple. When she quickly pulls out the Heria grass, he stops her and explains she should not yank it out by the roots. If they leave the roots intact, it will regrow. Instead, they should cut the stalk clean near the base without damaging the roots. Then he tells her to wrap the cut end in a damp cloth to preserve freshness, and he adds she could carry them submerged in water using containers. He says he would not recommend that though, because Heria grass is not rare or valuable, so it is not worth the extra trouble. Still, he explains the same method works for other herbs too, so it is good to remember. While he is talking, he notices her cutie face looking confused and asks what is wrong. She tells him he is amazing, just like Lena says, because she thought she understood Hyria grass, but she never considered what to do after picking it. She says grade 10 jobs might be called errands, but even something as simple as picking herbs cannot be done carelessly. Blancc smiles and says, laugh at errands, and errands will come back to bite you. Arya laughs, then asks him to guide her more, because she wants to learn properly. He points to another herb near her foot, and tells her it is lolok grass. He explains it is mainly used to restore mana, but you have to be careful when using it. Just then, he senses an ominous presence behind him, and a second later it vanishes like it is playing games. Blancc gets flustered, and it is obvious he knows what that creepy feeling is, but he does not say it out loud. Arya pulls his attention back and asks what kind of warning he means. He brushes off what he just felt, and tells her that if luluk grass is taken unprocessed, it will mess up her stomach. Back at the Adventurers Guild, Lena congratulates him again for being promoted to grade 8, and he immediately makes that disappointed face. He asks if he does not take the promotion test, then he will not get upgraded to grade 7, right? Lena sighs and tells him to accept the rules already. Then she adds that ever since he starts mentoring Arya, her growth is phenomenal, and she reaches grade 9 in no time. Blancc still sulks and says Arya must be heartbroken about being promoted too. Lena tells him only Blancc is enough, because Arya is actually happy, not weird like him. Lena says his mentoring Arya is a trial case, and now they are considering making beginner mentorship a normal part of training. She also says she hopes he will accept a combat request someday, but with a straight face he just hands over his next quest form. While Lena processes the request, some guys start calling him the infamous errand boy and gossip about him. They say he is a rookie who refuses combat quests and only does errands, which makes them sound bitter and pathetic. They complain that most adventurers start taking hunts early and rank up fast, like the guy next to them who joined later than Blancc and is already grade 7. They ask what is the point of being an adventurer if he is not interested in leveling up or monster hunting, and yet the guild still seems to love him. They even mention how the guild asks him to mentor some really cute girl, and they say it is not fair. Lena and Blancc can hear all that ugly talk, so Lena tells him not to let it get to him because his errands are valuable to the guild, but Blancc is already in his Delulu world, after hearing he has a nickname, so he does not even care. Ignoring their gossip, he takes his license and leaves. The way Lena looks at his back and calls him a weirdo proves she is waifu number 1. Just then, another girl named Rena gives Lena a surprise hug and asks if Blancc is the rumored guy. Rena says she is impressed that people badmouthed him, and he did not say a word. Lena gets irritated and pushes her away forcefully. Rena moves to her table and keeps talking, saying Blancc does not exactly scream ambition, and the errand boy name fits him perfectly. She adds that looks might not matter for an adventurer, but he always looks grumpy, and his hair is always a mess, so his vibe kind of ruins it. She admits he is not bad looking, but with that attitude he is not dating material, because an adventurer should have a little more drive. In the middle of all this chaos, she is seriously lecturing Lena about dating, like she is some love expert, which is honestly wild. Lena pulls back surprised and asks what Rena even thinks they do at the front desk all day. Rena answers with full teenager brain and says it is obviously so they can marry a strong, rich, and promising hottie. Then she starts blabbering names, saying Alan just got promoted to S grade and he is good looking and has potential. She also brings up a guy named Kevin, who is grade 3 and climbs the ranks solo. Additionally, he is handsome and apparently has noble blood, so he is the full package. Lena points out problems with both of them, which makes Rena realize they never talk about this girly stuff before. So Rena leans in and asks if Lena has her eyes on anyone. Rena is basically speaking on full volume, and other guys in the guild can hear their girl talk, so they start listening in like sneaky little rats. Rena keeps pestering her and asks if given a chance Lena would go after a high-ranking adventurer. Then she answers her own question and says the competition is fierce because everyone chases those guys, so it is smarter to go for promising low to mid-rankers. She keeps pushing and demands to know what kind of person Lena would actually choose. At the same time, more guys start hovering around the reception in a fake casual way because they want to know her type. Lena does not even notice them and just wants Rena to drop it, so she says she would prefer a lower-ranked adventurer. She explains that if she marries someone, she would rather they not do anything too dangerous. Rena asks how he would earn money then, and Lena smiles and says they might not live lavishly, but she wants to keep working too, and being together matters more to her. Lena continues, saying her father used to be an adventurer who died during a mission, and everyone called him brave and honorable. Still, more than money or honor, she wishes he would have just stayed with them and come home. The guys who were eavesdropping hear that and start tearing up, then quietly back off and leave. Reina cuts her off and asks if dating an adventurer would not be difficult for her if she feels like that. Then Reina says if it is that errand boy from the rumors, Lena might not even need to worry, because he is the closest to her ideals. Hearing that, Lena is left speechless and does not know what to say. Right after that, Reina contradicts herself and complains that he does not seem to have a bright future, and he does not look reliable either. She tells Lena to choose someone who actually makes her happy. While they are sitting there thinking about him, he is already busy raising his harem with waifu number 2. Arya approaches him again to invite him for another request. He hesitates because it sounds like a combat request, but she quickly shuts that down and tells him it is a collection job for olem fruit, which apparently grows in the demon forest, and she has never been there before. That is why she feels nervous going alone, so she hopes Blancc will come along with her. Blancc thinks to himself that he has not gone to the demon forest either, so he gets why she is tense. Arya is not that much dense and realizes he is busy with his own job. That's why she starts to prepare to go by herself, but he accepts her request anyway and tells her he will wrap up his current task first. He goes back and single-handedly carries a ridiculous number of boxes like it is nothing, and Arya is honestly left stunned. She cannot run that fast, and she definitely cannot carry boxes like that, so for a moment she wonders if she can really become the kind of adventurer she dreams of being. Still, she pulls herself together and loudly declares she just has to try harder and harder. While she is stuck in her own panic, Blancc comes back in seconds and tells her he is rooting for her, and his sudden appearance straight up jump scares her. Anyways, they head toward the demon forest to start their new request. Deep in the forest, a girl is wrapped around tree branches, surrounded by a dark aura, and she talks to herself like she is haunted. She wonders how she can feel the presence of the 6th demon king when they took his life with their own hands. All she wants is a peaceful life, and now trouble is creeping back in. Arya handles the monstrous snake like she is built for this. She throws a water ball to block its vision, then steps in and finishes it off with her sword in one clean move. Blancc gives her a nod, and he notices the entrance of the demon forest only has weak monsters roaming around. It feels like even low-level adventurers can deal with this zone as long as they do not panic. He asks her if she always wants to be an adventurer. Arya says her town got attacked by the Black Dragon 3 years ago, and the kingdom's soldiers fought with everything they have, but they did not stand a chance. The town was almost destroyed, but then the Black Emperor showed up and saved everyone, and that moment burned into her memory. With a bright smile, she says she decides right there that she wants to become an adventurer who can protect people too. She cheerfully adds that the Black Emperor is her role model for the same reason. Hearing that, Blancc feels something strange twist in his chest, like the words hit him deeper than they should. At the same time, a snake tries to sneak attack him from behind. He cuts it down into pieces with one hand, and Arya does not even notice because she is still scanning the area. She turns around and asks if he sees something, but he plays it off and says nothing special. Then he changes the topic and compliments her, saying her sword form looks really good, like a true sunshine. She keeps marching forward and suddenly spots olem fruits. Right then, that weird knowledge floods Blanc's mind again, like someone is forcing information into his head. Before picking them up, Arya asks if there is anything special she should know, and Blancc tells her to treat them like normal fruit and pick them carefully without bruising them. He adds that if the stem is left too long, it can scratch the other fruit during transport, so they should keep it neat. Right after that, he senses a dark magical presence again, and this time it feels even heavier than the Demon King's pressure, so he realizes he is not imagining it. He remembers people say the 3rd Demon King lives here, so he wonders if that pressure belongs to him, but he still does not feel any hostility. They collect the olem fruit and decide to head back before it gets dark, because neither of them wants to mess around in the forest at night. Blancc is curious about what is deeper inside, but for now he chooses to just observe and keep his thoughts to himself. Later he goes to his next request and harvests oranges, slicing them down with one clean swing of his sword. He takes them back to the client, who then get beyond surprised to see he cuts the stems without damaging a single fruit. When Blancc shows how he does it, the client grabs his hand in excitement and credits him for helping them harvest in record time. The man even invites him to join the orchard as a full-time worker, but Blancc politely refuses. He runs into the gatekeeper again, and the old man points out that Blancc has been working way too hard. He is always out on the plains picking herbs and sprinting around town helping people like he is on some non-stop grind. The gatekeeper tells him to take breaks too because rest matters for his health. Claret is a great town, so Blancc should explore it and relax sometimes, instead of treating life like an endless checklist. Blancc thinks about it and admits it is not a bad idea. He is so used to chasing one job after another that taking it easy never even crosses his mind. Then a guy with a bandana steps up, basically loudspeaker energy in human form, and says everyone knows the demon forest is the main attraction for adventurers. But he adds there is way more to this town than just monsters and danger. The bandana guy even hands Blancc a freshly grilled skewer and it instantly makes Blancc drool. And yeah, it makes us drool too. Blancc takes a bite, and the skewer is so juicy he almost forgets what he is doing out here. While eating, he agrees with the gatekeeper that visiting a new land and ignoring its culture and experiences would be a real waste. The idea sticks, and he decides he will start making time to explore Claret more regularly. The gatekeeper gives him another skewer, and Blancc looks surprised and asks if he is sure. The old man says it is a small thank you for helping him, and he adds that other people have been appreciating Blancc too, for what he has done. Blancc looks shocked, and the gatekeeper asks why he is surprised, because he has been handling their requests like a machine. Blancc acts modest and says it is his responsibility as an adventurer, but the gatekeeper shakes his head. He explains that back then they used to run out of herbs all the time, but now, thanks to Blanc's regular foraging, they have stocked up plenty of healing potions. And for once, Blancc realizes his boring errands are actually saving lives. So he takes the skewers as a token of thanks, and once Blancc understands the reason, he starts gobbling that juicy meat like he has not eaten in years. He honestly cannot remember food tasting this good before coming here, and it makes him wonder why he felt so lifeless back then. Yeah, nerds and tech workers, take notes before it is too late and you end up saying the same thing later. While Blancc is busy eating, the two old men keep talking to each other like they are solving world problems. The gatekeeper says he wishes more adventurers would take these requests, but he gets why they hesitate, since promotions and rewards are tied to monster hunting. The bandana guy agrees, but he hates admitting that monster hunting looks cooler than their odd jobs. Blancc cuts him off and says errands can be cool too, which leaves both old men staring at him like he is speaking a different language. Then more townspeople step up and tell the old men not to hog him for themselves. Most of them are ladies, and they surround him with gifts and thanks, straight from the heart. By the time it is over, he is basically buried under rewards and ends up loaded with luggage. When he stops by a flower shop, the lady giggles at him and offers to give him flowers too, but he politely refuses. Then he suddenly remembers something and asks if she has vegetables that grow well in a home garden. She lights up and says yes, guessing he might be thinking about backyard farming. She recommends tomatoes for this time of year, says they are packed with nutrients, and explains that if he waters them a bit they grow like crazy. Blancc instantly decides to buy them. In the next moment, he is already planting the tomato plants, thanks to that sudden rush of knowledge that hits him while buying them. After all that, he is exhausted as hell, so he sinks into the hot water at home. It hits him that this is the first time he has truly relaxed since he buys this house. While soaking in the water, he realizes days like this are the best and he has been living without knowing how good it can feel. He is sure a lot of things pass him by before, simply because he is too careless to notice them. Bro starts thinking he is some old man now, but he is still our cutie patootie at heart. He jumps out of the bath with energy and decides he is going back to work tomorrow, fully locked in. The next morning, Lena hands him a request for collecting olem fruit, and tells him Arya takes the same request too, so he might run into her out there. She warns him to be careful, because the demon forest is dangerous even near the entrance. He thanks her and takes his leave, but Lena is left feeling confused and a little nervous after what Rena says about her feelings. Just then, a guy interrupts, asking if she is taking the front desk shift, and she gets flustered but quickly says yes. After a while, something strange happens. A man staggers into the guild, badly wounded, and collapses at the entrance while forcing out a warning. He says the Tyrant golem showed up in the demon forest right near the entrance, and 3 of them have been sighted. The whole guild starts panicking, because there were no reports of monsters stronger than grade 4 deep in the forest, let alone grade 3 monsters at the entrance. People start whispering that even strong adventurers might not come to deal with golems like that, and if nobody shows up, the town is the one that pays for it. Just then, the branch leader Ukum steps in and starts giving orders like a man who has done this before. He tells everyone grade 8 and below to stay in the guild, while grade 7 and above should prepare for city patrol and defense. Anyone worried about their friends and family does not even hesitate and rushes to gear up. The whole place turns into pure chaos, but at least someone is taking control. In the middle of it, Lena pulls Uck aside and tells him 2 adventurers, grade 9 and grade 8, are currently in the demon forest on an olem fruit collection request. Uck frowns and asks why they are doing errands when most juniors take hunting requests to level up. Lena explains those 2 always take errand-type jobs. That is when Uck realizes she is talking about the infamous errand boy, and even though he hears the rumors, he keeps it rational instead of emotional. He says he appreciates the help they give with minor jobs, but if that is all they have done, they are probably useless in a real fight. Lena also remembers seeing Blancc carry a sword, but she has never seen any signs it was used before, which makes her panic even more. Uff says they cannot spare people to rescue low-ranked adventurers right now, because the town comes first. The best they can do is keep an eye out while they investigate. Then he pats her shoulder and reminds her she should already know how this works. Lena has no choice but to swallow it and starts tearing up because she feels helpless. Out there, Arya is the first one targeted by the golem, and she is on the verge of death. In that desperate moment, she does not want to die, so she cries out for her role model, the Black Emperor. The Tyrant golem corners her like a nightmare, and it feels bigger than a titan and more terrifying than a demogorgon. Blancc roams through the forest, but he cannot spot any olem fruit or herbs anywhere. He wonders if Arya picked them already, but he taught her not to overharvest, and if monsters eat them there should be signs or traces left behind. Then it hits him, and he almost panics, thinking if this keeps up he is going to fail his first olem fruit errand. His brain spirals, since he just earned that nickname, and now he might lose the trust of the guild and the townspeople in one ugly moment. All of a sudden he senses a powerful presence, and he immediately reads it as a grade 3 monster. That makes no sense to him, because he thinks anything above grade 5 is not supposed to show up this close to the entrance. He follows the pressure and finds it, a tyrant golem, grade 3, standing there like a wall of doom. He realizes it has been absorbing the forest's magic, which explains why plants that rely on mana are drying up too. Blancc gets annoyed because he cannot finish his request just because this thing decides to show up and ruin his day. It is ridiculous and serious at the same time because he is mad about an errand, but the threat is real. Then he hears someone crying for help, and it turns out to be Arya, beaten up and desperate. Blancc does not even blink and moves instantly, slicing the golem into pieces like it is nothing. He catches Arya before she collapses and pulls out a healing potion, pouring it over her face to stabilize her. He has never needed to use one on himself, but he is glad he carries top-quality potions. He leans closer, trying to figure out what that weird haze is coming from her, because his master told him about it before, yet he cannot remember. Since he cannot place it, he lifts Arya into his arms and decides he will ask his master later. But it is not over yet, because he feels something coming from behind, and someone moves in for a surprise attack. He reacts on instinct and slips away, dodging the hit just in time. When he looks down, he freezes, because 2 more golems are standing there, and that makes no sense. He has never seen golem-type monsters moving in a group, and he has definitely never seen them coordinate attacks. These ugly chunks of rock are not supposed to be smart, so they could not just wander out from deeper in the forest by chance and start working together. One of them fires a beam and he dodges it clean, but the other one slides in behind him like it is waiting for the perfect moment. As he jumps up to avoid the follow-up hit, both golems chase him and try to strike at the same time. That is when he realizes there has to be a mastermind controlling them. From that point on, Blancc gets serious, and he starts weaving through their swings like he is dancing. He cuts the first golem down with one clean strike, then closes in on the second for the finishing blow. In a moment it is over, and the forest is left with 3 massive golem bodies sprawled across the ground. Now he is stuck staring at the evidence, and his mind starts racing. He imagines Og and Lena's faces when they find out he deals with 3 tyrant golems by himself, and he already hates where this is going. In his head, Lena is congratulating him and promoting him again, then telling him he cannot accept low-rank errands anymore. Right after that, noble commissions start piling up on his desk again, and that is his worst nightmare, because he refuses to go back to that life. He wants to erase the proof, but Arya saw the golems with her own eyes, so he cannot pretend it never happened. Even if he breaks the bodies with his sword, the residual magic will still linger, and it will still point back to what happened here. There is only one way to wipe it all clean. If he uses the special elemental magic that only he can cast, not even dust will remain. The problem is his master tells him to never use it. Still, he makes up his mind and decides he has to clean it up before anyone else shows up, because he will not let this mess drag him into noble work again. He raises his hand to cast the magic, and dark energy of the forest starts gathering around him. He notices the dark magical energy is not even comparable to the golem or the black dragon, because it feels far denser and way more overwhelming. It is the kind of pressure that makes even a grade 0 threat feel like a warm-up. Right in front of him, the broken pieces of the 3 golems start merging and assembling into one massive golem. It grows into something bigger than Errand's founding titan, and Blancc has never seen anything like that before. The monster fires a beam from 3 golem crystals with insane intensity, but Blancc pulls back in time and dodges it clean. Then it swings a punch at him, and he blocks it easily with his sword like it is nothing. Now it is his turn, so he strikes the golem's tough body and immediately notices the material has not changed. The difference is its durability and strength, which clearly shoots up, like it absorbs that dense magic and reinforces itself. Blancc finally understands what he is dealing with, and once he figures it out, it starts looking less like a threat and more like a punching bag. He is still annoyed about that failed errand, so the timing honestly makes him even sharper. He lunges forward and aims straight for the 3 crystals first, because he knows those are the key. Then he goes wild, spinning around it and landing hit after hit to chip it down. When he realizes the body is hardened with magic, he knows brute force alone will not be enough. The only real answer is stronger magic, so he pours power into his blade and lines up a finishing strike. He lands the final blow with his magic-infused sword and shatters the golem into pieces. He does it so thoroughly that nothing salvageable remains, and he ends up lucky, because he destroys the evidence too. He makes it back to the guild with Arya on his back, and the first thing he hears is Ufkuk snapping that they have some nerve coming back. Blancc has zero clue who this guy even is, so he just stands there like, "Who are you, and why are you yelling?" Later, Arya opens her eyes in a bed and sees Lena standing right beside her. Lena looks genuinely relieved the moment Arya comes to her senses. Arya remembers the request right away and blurts out that there is a vicious golem in the forest, something nobody has ever seen before. Lena calms her down and says they already hear about it, and she is safe now. Arya looks shocked and asks if they send someone to rescue her. Lena is about to tell her who saves her, but then they hear loud growling and shouting outside. It is Uck, bawling like a pathetic crybaby while welcoming Blancc back like he returns from a war. He hugs Blancc way too tight and apologizes for not coming to save him, then acts like Blancc is some precious treasure. Lena introduces Upper to Arya and explains he is the branch leader. She adds he is usually strict, but he gets emotional fast when things go sideways. Blancc goes completely blank because this gorilla man is squeezing him like he is a stuffed toy. He just stands there stiff, looking like his soul steps out for a second. Arya starts wondering if Blancc is the one who saves her. Lena explains Blancc is also in the demon forest, and according to him, when he found Arya, the golem was already gone. Lena asks Arya to explain exactly what happens out there. Arya says a massive outbreak of monsters came from deeper in the forest, and the golems likely appeared as part of that ugly wave. She dodged the swarm at first, but a golem hit her almost immediately after. She lost consciousness right as it moves in for the kill. Lena assumes Blancc must have shown up in time to save Arya, even though he refuses combat requests, and both girls end up saying, it's Blanc's son after all. They know he always chooses errands, but they still do not understand the real reason behind that choice. Lena stays confused though, because a battle is spotted from the town, which means someone definitely fought that thing. Arya's injuries are also completely healed, and that kind of recovery does not happen without someone doing something serious. Lena starts thinking maybe a high-ranked adventurer passes by, like a grade 0 who does not stay in one place. Arya checks herself and gets surprised because she does not feel any pain at all. For a second, the thought of the Black Emperor crosses her mind, but she shakes it off and decides she should thank whoever saved her. She leaves the room to thank Blancc, but the first thing she sees is Uva carrying him around like a toy. Blancc is flailing his arms and legs like an airplane, and he looks way too cute for his own good. His waifus just stare with poker faces, probably realizing they are crushing on a guy who acts like a kid sometimes. Later, Blancc goes to Lena and asks for another quest. Lena says once he ranks up to around grade 5 or grade 6, he will be able to accept combat missions in the demon forest again. Blancc gets disappointed and asks why they are still investigating the Tyrant golem incident when it has already been a whole month. Lena explains the missions matter, but adventurers' lives matter more. So low-ranked adventurers are taking all the townside jobs they normally avoid, which means there is barely anything left to assign. Then she pulls out the promotion exam papers and gets excited, saying maybe this is his chance too. Soon he realizes he has already run out of jobs, and it feels depressing. He plans to just go home and tend the garden today, but then he remembers people are struggling because they cannot go on gathering missions, and he is stuck doing nothing too. Sitting around and waiting for someone else to fix it is not a choice a self-proclaimed adventurer who wants to help people would make. So he decides if he takes care of the cause, everything will eventually get resolved. He quietly sneaks through town, slips into the demon forest, and aims to follow the same strange magical energy he felt earlier. On the way, he considers flying to get there faster, but he worries someone might sense his magical energy, and that would be a headache. In the end, he chooses to run instead, telling himself he will reach it eventually if he just keeps going. As he goes deeper, he spots the same kind of monster groups Arya mentioned in her report. A rock grizzly, rank 6, lunges at him first, but he dodges easily and keeps moving forward. Then rank 3 monsters start rushing him, and while he avoids them, he thinks it is weird because monsters above rank 4 are not supposed to be this close unless this area is not explored properly. Even if they are only rank 3, enough of them stacking together would force even a rank 2 adventurer to step in. When the monsters start surrounding him, it reminds him of his training with his master. During sword sparring, she keeps pushing him back, and then a monster attacks from behind, so she drills it into him that he cannot let his guard down if he does not want to die. That memory snaps him back and he keeps moving. For 3 days, he keeps going back and forth through the forest, searching for the cause of the disruption, then returning to the guild so he does not raise suspicion. On the 3rd day, he finally reaches the core of the forest and sees it. A massive flower stands deep in the center, leaking a dark aura far worse than the tyrant golems ever gave off. Blancc shouts into the darkness, saying, "I know you're here," and calls out that he spends 3 whole days getting to this place, so whoever is hiding should finally show their face. The answer comes fast, because the giant plant starts moving and lashes out with spikes like it is guarding something. Then a female demon lord appears, and she says she recognizes Blanc's aura without a doubt, but something about it feels wrong. She says Blancc is human, yet he gives off the presence of the 6th demon lord, which makes her stare at him like he is some walking contradiction. Blancc ignores the part where she basically calls him a demon lord, and tries to settle this with words first. He hears the 3rd demon lord is friendly with humans, so he keeps it calm and asks why she is talking about a 6th demon king, when he is told there are only 5. She says she does not understand either, because why would the 6th demon king need a weapon, and the tyrant golem incident makes it even weirder. She explains the previous 6th demon king is nothing like the others, because he is born from the hatred of gods and stars. She calls him a child of magic that erases everything, a mindless vessel of destruction with no reason and no intelligence. Since she cannot make sense of what she is seeing, she decides the only way to confirm it is to fight him herself. The plant behind her erupts with countless pointed branches, and she sends them flying at Blancc like a storm. He blocks and cuts them down one after another with his sword, but he quickly realizes this is not going to be easy with just blade work. With no other choice, he summons several spears around him using his magical energy, the same way he attacks the black dragon back then. Even while doing it, he mutters that he is getting overwhelmed despite 3 years of training, and if his master finds out, she will roast him for struggling like this. He figures that since nobody is around, he can finally use his magic without worrying about being seen, so he decides to let it all out. His magic-filled spears slam into her countless branches, and for a second it looks like he is holding the line, but out of nowhere she looks disappointed and says his magic has traces of the 6th Demon Lord's attribute, yet he only uses a basic all-elemental spell. She pulls out even more pointed branches from the plant, and demands to know who he really is. Blancc asks the same question back while backing off and guarding himself with his spears. She refuses to reveal anything about her identity, so the whole thing turns into a nasty guessing game. He tells himself even demon lords do not have unlimited mana, so he charges in, trying to find an opening. In response, she ramps up the number of branches and keeps pressing him like she is trying to bury him alive. Blancc throws up a demon barrier to shield himself, but the vines overwhelm it and wrap around him completely. She calls it the heaven-sealing demon tree, and it locks him down like a cage. He slashes at the wood with his sword, but it feels useless, like he is swinging a blunt piece of metal. He even tries the same ultimate move that finishes the Tyrant golems, but it still does nothing. He can tell her mana flow is on a different level, but he also senses she burned through a lot of mana to form that cocoon around him. Even so, he believes when it comes to mana reserves, nobody can beat him. He concentrates all his mana into his spear, and goes all out to break the barrier. But again, nothing works, and for the first time it feels like he might actually be stuck. He is shocked, because he pours in mana equal to a demon, and still nothing happens. She giggles and tells him regular magic will not work, because this is the same kind of sealing power once used to lock away the 6th Demon King. Blancc gets serious because he still does not understand what she keeps saying about 6th, and he realizes his current spells and sword techniques are not enough. That means if he wants out, he has to go all out. On top of that, he feels hunger creeping in, and all he can think about is going home to eat that grilled skewer. Yeah, the timing is awful, but his stomach does not care. He unleashes a terrifying amount of power and draws dark magic from his chest, shaping it into the Lance of Ending. He hurls it at the shell like a missile and finally cracks through the seal. He steps out with a proud look, but he has burned almost all his magic, and even the sunlight stings him. The Demon Lord rushes in, and he feels a flash of fear because he knows he lowers his guard for a second. Strangely, she does not attack. Instead, she reaches out and gently presses a hand to his chest, then says he carries the heart of the 6th Demon King. She circles him like she is fascinated, saying they think they erase his heart, but somehow it ends up inside a human. Now everything makes sense to her, and her interest in him only grows. Blancc shoves her back and demands to know what she is talking about, because he has never even heard of a 6th Demon King. She finally spills it, saying the 6th Demon King is an enemy to demon lords, humans, gods, and basically the entire universe. Blancc still does not trust her because she tries to kill him 5 seconds ago, so why would he believe anything she says now? He admits he does not know his own past, so maybe something like that could be true. But if his master never mentions it, then maybe it is not something he needs to obsess over. Even so, he asks her straight up if he is her enemy or not. She suddenly bursts into laughing and tells him to relax, promising she will not bother him or the townspeople. When he still looks like he does not buy it, she swears it is a one-off and says she never attacks unless someone attacks her first. She adds that if she truly wants to wipe them out, she could have done it already, and with the power she holds, she would not just erase Claret. She could erase the whole kingdom. So the fact everything is still standing proves she is not here for destruction. Blancc keeps his guard up and wonders what causes all this trouble in the first place. She steps closer and explains she is only curious about the source of the 6th Demon Lord's power, but now that she sees Blancc has no will or intent like that, she loses interest. More than anything, she can tell he prefers a peaceful world, because he defended himself instead of attacking first. She says she also loves peace, so she feels a strange kinship, but she warns him things will not go smoothly if the first Demon Lord, Lilith, finds him. She says Lilith rules over dragons and beasts, and she absolutely hates the 6th Demon Lord. On top of that, her favorite vassal, the Demon Dragon, is taken down, so she is still furious about it. Blancc realizes he is guilty on at least one point, because he is the one who slays that dragon and basically pokes the biggest hornet nest. He asks what kind of person this hated 6th Demon Lord even is, but she apologizes and says she does not want to remember it. She tells him he does not need to worry because if he gets into trouble, she will come help him. Then she finally introduces herself as Knuckle, and leaves casually saying they will play again sometime. Blancc does not promise anything back, because all he wants is a peaceful life, which is the whole reason he abandons that superior title. Still, now he walks home with a heavy mind, trying to figure out what he should do next. 3 days later, he shows up at the guild, and his girls welcome him gladly. Lena tells him things in the forest finally start calming down, so regular requests are back on the menu from today. She jokes that he is probably dying to grab a request right away, but Blancc humbly refuses and says he just wants to go home and take a bath. Lena tells him if that is the case, he should try the bathhouse, since it is huge and the water stays hot and fresh, even though it gets crowded fast. Blancc admits he has never even heard about it before, so Lena and Rena offer to show him the way, since they are heading there too. Yeah, it sounds like we are about to get a bath scene with two hotties, but sadly it is separated baths, so he is not getting that kind of luck. The moment he gets in, it feels like heaven, and he melts into the heat like his soul finally unclenches. Then the ugly part hits, because a bunch of old dudes show up too, and they act like they have not bathed in years, but they are only here because he helps them so much. They start saying they want to scrub his back as a thank you, and it gets rowdy fast. The old men start splashing around like kids, while Blancc quietly sinks into the water, thinking his home is still the best place to relax. Still, he admits coming here and getting welcomed like this is not bad either. When the old men see him submerging, they panic and rush to help him like he is drowning, even though it is not that deep, and he is clearly fine. Meanwhile, the girls are bathing on their side, and hear the commotion, wondering what is going on over there. And while everything looks peaceful, Blancc has no idea a nasty scheme is already moving in the background of this town. Cluall is deep in the demon forest, and is surrounded by first and second ranked adventurers. She is sick of this endgame adventurer life, because she is supposed to be retired, not babysitting a whole squad. She tried leaving this country ages ago, but the Empire made a deal with her. They agree to postpone the search for the Black Emperor, but only if she filled the void he leaves behind. They clearly cannot afford to lose her too, even though she could relocate to another nation if she is pushed hard enough. It is annoying as hell, but for Blancc's sake, she has no real choice, and she does not want him dragged into this ugly mess. 3 years pass, and she assumes he has grown up by now, but she is still worried about his emotional maturity. Strength is not the problem with him, but his head and heart are another story. Now we jump back to how they first meet. Cluall receives a report about the Demon Blood Society, a group trying to fuse humans and demons into some twisted new species. It is not just humans either, because demonkin are involved too, and that makes it even more dangerous. The whole continent takes it seriously, since this kind of disgusting experiment could turn into a disaster fast. Cluall does not waste time and storms the society's hideout like a one-woman raid. She cuts down every pathetic bastard in sight and forces her way deeper until she reaches the mastermind behind all this trash. He flashes an ugly smile and tells her not to get cocky, because he has his greatest masterpiece, his final weapon. When she looks behind him, she sees a child, our little boy, and she instantly feels pity because calling a kid a masterpiece is just disgusting. She is ready to rescue him, but before she can move, the old man orders the child to attack. Blancc, with empty eyes, fires black mana straight at her like he is a puppet. She dodges easily, but the pressure behind that magic makes her pause, because it feels like a raging storm of raw mana. They clash in a brutal fight, and Cluall knows she might have to go all out because no one will allow something this dangerous to exist. Still, while trading blows, she notices the kid is already bleeding, and her mother instincts start overpowering her logic. She starts questioning herself because is the world really expecting her to erase a child whose future is stolen and who is forced into being a weapon? The thought makes her sick, and it makes the old man feel even uglier in her eyes. She lands a hard kick that sends him back. Then she claims he is out of mana and cannot move anymore, so it is over. She scoops the lifeless child into her arms and tells him he is safe now, then gently invites him to come with her. She only knew the path of an adventurer, so that was the path she offered him too, but power like his attract people who want to abuse it. Still, if he found his own will and a reason to keep walking forward, then it will be fine. After all, he is still her disciple. Cluall wonders what kind of fun he is having out there, and she hopes he will tell her everything when he comes back. She is not wrong because Blancc is buzzing with excitement as he stares at the request board, realizing he never understands how precious normal daily life can be. He tells himself this is a real lesson, and he is definitely going to report it to his master later. He is in his own happy bubble until another kid, Gajal, starts running his mouth and furiously calls him a spineless errand boy, because in his head, being an adventurer means ranking up fast, becoming real, and making a ton of money. He marches up to Lena and aggressively demands an 8th rank request, since if he clears it, he will finally be promoted to 7th rank. Lena tries to calm him down, and explains that requests come from clients, and the guild cannot just make them up. She points out there are 9th rank requests available, but Gajal is stubborn and keeps pushing, asking about the Dark Forest requests, since there are usually 8th rank standing missions there. Lena refuses, but then Uvka steps in and announces there has been no abnormal activity in the forest since then. Because of that, he lifts the restrictions on the Dark Forest, and he warns everyone that if they notice anything strange, they should report it to the guild immediately. Then he leans in and whispers something to Lena. Gajal gets excited and demands a request right now. Lena tells him the only 8th rank request available is gathering olem fruits, and if he is not satisfied, he can pick a different request outside the forest. With no other option, Gajiel takes the Olim fruit request and he walks off thinking he is about to suffer through some tough mission. Meanwhile, Blancc watches it all and has no idea this whole mess is partly his fault. Gajiel heads into the forest, still annoyed that he gets stuck with an errand, but he hypes himself up anyway, thinking that if he clears this request he will ranks up. He starts searching, but he cannot find a single Olim fruit, and his frustration spikes fast. He honestly thought he will just grab whatever fruit is in sight, but nobody told him it is this hard, and now he is realizing he might actually fail. He convinces himself the outer area is probably picked clean, so he decides to go deeper into the forest. Even after pushing forward, he still does not find any fruit, but the wild monsters definitely find him. A mad frog jumps him from behind, and he barely dodges in time. He refuses to run like a scaredy cat, because he believes it is only an 8th rank monster, so he should be able to beat it. He charges in to kill it, but before he can even swing properly, another monster appears and kicks the frog to death in one shot. Gajiel just stands there staring like an idiot and thinking he got saved. Then he remembers too late that the next target is him. The new monster strikes while his guard is down and smashes him hard into a tree, leaving him severely injured and completely motionless. This beast is a 6th ranked assassin snake, and while lying there half dead, Gajiel realizes the frog is taken out by that snake, and now it is his turn. He wants to run, but his body will not move no matter how hard he tries. Suddenly the snake explodes and splashes blood everywhere, and Gajiel feels relieved because he thinks someone saved him. He is not that naive though, so he realizes it cannot just burst on its own, which means someone attacked it even if nobody is in sight. He cannot sense anyone at all, and that makes it worse because something more terrifying than an assassin snake has to be nearby. He starts shivering and panicking, because he does not want to die yet. Right then, Blancc shows up and sees how badly Gajiel is beaten up. Gajiel stares at him in shock and wonders what the hell he is doing all the way out here. Blancc forces a healing potion down his throat, and Gajiel manages to stand up. Then he yells at him because it burns and hurts going down. Blancc asks if he is still in pain, and that is when Gajiel realizes he is completely healed, even though he is sure his bones and guts were wrecked. There is no way a low-ranked adventurer should have a potion like that. Blancc still looks worried and wonders why the potion does not work perfectly, but Gajiel is standing there fine, so it makes no sense. Gajiel asks why Blancc wasted such an expensive potion on him, and Blancc simply says it is because he was dying. Gajiel gets agitated and shouts that the potion is extremely rare, worth 1,000,000 reek, and there is no way he can pay him back. Blancc calmly tells him not to worry, because he did not save him for money, but because he wanted to. Gajiel gets embarrassed and admits he kept calling him an errand boy this whole time. That is his awkward way of apologizing. Blancc, being Blancc, looks weirdly happy because he loves his nickname, and he tells Gajiel to follow him if he can. While Blancc plucks Olim fruits, he figures Gajiel must have gotten lost and explains that Olim fruits do not grow deep in the forest. The terrain is tricky, but Gajiel should remember the area for next time. Gajiel asks how Blancc even knows what request he took back then, to which Blancc tells him Lena gave them the same Olim fruit request, so he ended up running into him out here. Gajiel feels depressed, thinking Lena and Uck already know he would not be able to clear the quest, and that thought frustrates him even more. Blancc pulls his attention back and asks if his mother is sick. Gajiel snaps and asks how he knows that too. Blancc ignores the question and tells him Olim fruit gets used in potions for strength and recovery. He tells Gajiel he can scoff at gathering requests all he wants, but if nobody collects these things, then medicine cannot be made. He adds that errands matter too, so mocking them just makes him look pathetic. Blancc also explains the guild does not send him because they give up on him, but because they worry about him. Gajiel has been pushing himself like crazy to earn money for his mother and sister. Money matters, but Blancc tells him it is worth thinking about what really matters to the people waiting for him at home. Gajiel suddenly breaks down crying and admits he was terrified back there, because he truly thought he was a goner. If he ends up dying, he will trouble his family instead of helping them and just leave them behind crying. Blancc finally looks relieved hearing him say it out loud. Then he switches the topic and suggests the dead snake should sell for a decent chunk. That reminds Gajiel about how the snake exploded and died even though nobody was around. It is obviously Blancc who killed it, but he acts clueless and says maybe it just dies of old age. Gajiel does not believe that for a second, and says he is going to report it to the guild. Blancc tries to hold him back and tells him he survived somehow, so he should not overthink it. Gajiel actually uses his brain for once, and asks how he is supposed to explain bringing back a monster that big as an 8th rank adventurer. Blancc suggests he should just say Gajiel defeats it, but Gajiel argues back because that lie is too ugly to sell. They both end up bringing the snake back to town by carrying it on their backs. Even though Blancc carries a huge piece, Gajiel is tired as hell and still praises him, asking if he really does not need a piece. Blancc bluntly says he did not do anything and only helped bringing it back since it is on his way. He also says did not beat him. Gajiel also refuses to claim he defeated it, but he has no choice except taking it for himself. He awkwardly admits he only heard other people calling him errand boy, so he wants to know his name and says he is sorry about earlier. Blancc smirks softly and tells him his name. Gajal swears he will rake in the cash and pay him back for the potion, and after thanking him again, he rushes off like a man with actual honor. Blancc returns to the guild, betting Gajal will file a report, even though he has no idea Blancc has a hand in it. He feels proud thinking he is getting better at hiding his moves and acting innocent. Still, he noticed the look in Gajal's eyes earlier and realizes the kid is getting converted into the gospel of errand quests. The way Blancc says it makes him sound like he is chanting some creepy, pathetic spell. Rini is there too, and she looks creeped out after hearing him talk like that. Blancc goes to the board and thinks if more people start taking errand quests now, he needs a plan for how he will keep getting them too. So he ends up taking the most avoided request of all time, sewer patrol. It is the ugly job nobody wants, but he takes it anyway. He arrives at the sewer and observes no one comes down here, which is why it is pitch dark and there is no light. It is so dirty with sewage that it stinks, and there is always a chance criminals are hiding here. He finds no signs of humans nearby, but plenty of monsters have moved in, and one who takes the request does not get a bonus for taking them down. Well, it works out for him. Just then, several big mice show up and rush to get him, but he easily steps back, and they end up crashing against the wall like idiots. Blancc has seen them in the demon forest, but he does not get how they got into the sewers. They are rank 10 monsters, but they multiply like crazy, so he decides to get rid of them before they multiply even more. After he beats them and piles up dozens of mice, he wonders how he should dispose of them. If he leaves them here, they will rot and cause problems, but if he chops them and then flushes, their smell will attract a lot of monsters. And if he brings them back, people will think he is doing monster hunting for the pay, and it will ruin the image he has built as an errand boy. Suddenly he notices one rat starts turning purple, and he assumes it could be due to some contagious disease. Either way, he cannot leave the corpses here, but his unique magic would wipe all of them, and it is way too strong to control, so if he screws up he might blow away more than just these mice. While he is busy thinking what he should do, a fire bursts out behind him and gives him a jump scare. When he jumps back, he happens to drop the documents. He snaps himself out, and makes his resolve, thinking he comes here to help people, and cannot ignore something just to save his own skin. He thinks sewer patrols are unpopular, so he uses his dark magic to burn down the pile of mice. He relaxes, telling himself he is getting better at covering things, and he will be fine. He continues and burns down the ones he can sense, and most of the ones deeper inside are discolored, which puts him in suspicion that there is definitely something up. He senses the mana flow, and while following it, he ends up next to a magical barrier and wonders what it is doing here. He places his hand on it and breaks it into pieces, only to find there is an actual gate behind the barrier. As he gets close to the gate, he feels an overwhelming presence coming from it, and the vibes can creep out anyone. By putting effort, he manages to open the gate anyway. When he enters, he opens his eyes and wonders what the hell this place is. A lot of stuff is inside, including cages that capture mice and other animals. He assumes someone has been doing experiments here, and those mice must have run away from this place. He stumbles upon documents and a crest drawn on them grabs his attention. Suddenly he feels excruciating pain in his head, just like when knowledge pours into his mind, but this time nothing comes, only pain. He wonders if it is due to the crest. Anyways, he decides to collect whatever he can, because his errand quests are basically associated with side quests at this point. Right then, behind him, a huge lion with raging fire shows up. At first, he thinks it is a rank 1 king beast, and his guard instantly goes up. But on a closer look, it is just several monsters from the demon forest stitched together, and that is ugly in the worst way. These are artificial modified monsters, often called chimera, and it is one of humanity's forbidden taboos. But when he finds human hands lurking out of the lion, he realizes it is not just monsters used for its modification, which seems very disgusting to him. The monster steps forward for an attack, and Blancc blocks it, but while he is busy blocking, a snake throws a blast of poison, mimicking Orochimaru's spell. Blancc notices the mice in the cages turning purple, and realizes this poison caused the mutation he saw earlier. He cannot stand the poison and starts coughing, which diverts his attention for a moment. As the monster steps in again, he quickly slices it into 2 clean pieces, because the coughing was just an act, and the poison does not work on him. That is how the whole room drenches in blood. Blancc thinks if the mutation is caused by poison and not a virus, then there is no need to report an outbreak. He salvages at least a sample, because he has no clue who this belongs to, but whoever runs this lab is strong enough to capture monsters for experiments. Putting pride aside, he should tell his master about it. For the chimera, he wonders if he should do the same as he does with the mice and erase all traces, but that still has drawbacks. Someone capable of crafting a barrier of that level will realize who is there after noticing lingering magic even though he uses a spell over all the sewer. Just then he comes up with a plan, and it is simple. If he uses magic out there in the open and then uses something totally different inside here, they might think he is a completely different person. Our cutie patootie believes his deception skills are stronger, but at the end he runs with his tails between his legs and reports to the guild like nothing happens. Whoever owns this place can come and clean his own mess. That is Blanc's logic, and it is shameless but effective. Finally, the owner returns to his lab and gets devastated to see his guinea pigs all torn apart. He makes sure it cannot be found by layering it with strong concealing magic that even a top-tier adventurer will not notice. But someone is strong enough to break through the barrier and defeat the chimera without using magic. Ever since the sword Saint Cluall steals his results, he rebuilds his legacy in this backwater dump. It means he is the same disgusting man who experiments on Blancc. He casts a spell called Black Vault that is like a black hole and sucks up the remnants of the chimera. He vows that whoever dares interfere with his organization, he will find them and make them pay. In the Thunder Mountain, we see a girl fighting against a fierce thunder beast of danger level 1, and after a lot of struggle, she manages to corner it. She is Regina, a pretty adventurer, and she is out here doing the most. When selecting this quest, the receptionist warned her that this mountain is a lightning magnet, and only an idiot would dare to go there alone. At the very least, she needs a proper party to even stand a chance, and even Class 1 adventurers would struggle otherwise. But Regina did not listen to her advice and took off anyway. Of course, she never thought she could beat that thing by herself, but she kept fighting the beast again and again like a total maniac. Now the lightning does not work against her anymore, and she got stronger after hard work and dealing with this beast for 4 years. Finally, she rushes forward and manages to sever the head of the beast. She did it, and she jumps in excitement because this is her win. She says she has taken one step closer to him now, and yeah, let's see who he is. After 4 years, she returns to the guild and learns that he has quit the guild. It turns out that he's is our cutie Blancc. The receptionist comments that the hole he left behind is huge, and they are barely managing the noble requests he used to handle. However, she is back now, and they think they will finally clear the requests with his name on them. Regina feels frustrated as hell after hearing it, and she decides to track him down no matter what. She rushes outside ready to add one new member into the harem club, because her obsession is not playing. The receptionist is left with no way to stop her anymore, and it feels kind of pathetic watching it unfold. Blancc and Arya are together on a mission. Blancc sees that it is nice weather, perfect for odd jobs, and Arya replies that it is basically every day for him, like he is allergic to rest. Anyways, he asks if she is sure about this request, because it does not involve anything worth learning. She replies she is aiming to be the kind of adventurer everyone can count on, so she wants to help the townspeople, however she can. Blancc gets impressed with her dedication, thinking he only realizes that after becoming a Class 0 adventurer, but she already understands something important from the beginning, accepting requests with clear purposes. They arrive at the client's place and meet an old lady, who tells them they will be helping care for her livestock, that is actually a bunch of fluffy sheep gathered in the shed just chilling together. After that, she takes her leave. Blancc reads the instructions and sees they have to get the sheep out so they can clean the shed. Then they have to put them back when it is done, and the client has other errands, so it will be just the two of them. Arya has not worked with animals before, so she wonders if she will even handle this. Blancc makes a disappointed face and says experience is not part of the job requirement, and honestly, he is the one more worried. Anyways, Blancc plans to prepare the cleaning supplies, and Arya decides to start bringing the little ones outside. But as she goes near them, one sheep says "Bah," and Arya freezes on the spot like her brain just blue screens. Blancc asks what happened, and she turns around with a blue face, asking if sheep bite. Blancc is surprised, saying she can deal with a pack of forest snakes, but she is scared of these fluffy animals. Still, they have to do this either way, so he heads out while she tries to handle it. She swings the door open to let them out, but the sheep are stubborn as hell and do not move, even if she is offering them freedom. She tries to drag one out by force, but the sheep is heavy and does not budge an inch. Instead, it makes an angry bird face and turns around like it is about to attack her. She gets a jump scare and almost falls back, but Blancc shows up and catches her before she hits the ground. The hand placement is wild, and Arya turns around with a blush on her face. He asks if she cannot get them out, and she says sorry, looking embarrassed. He comments that these guys are a different kind of trouble than monsters, and the sheep pull smug faces like they understand and are enjoying this. Arya gets frustrated because she is getting humiliated by animals of all things. Blancc gives it a shot, even though he is usually terrible with animals, and he only leaves Arya to handle them because he thinks she will do better. But it has come to this, so he puts on a serious face and lets out a dark aura that terrifies every sheep in the shed. He calmly tells them to get out, and they rush outside without a second thought. Arya is super confused, asking how he manages to get them out when even the stubborn sheep gives in. He simply says he intimidates them. He figured it would not work on monsters for no reason, but he never thought it would work on animals either. Normally, if it is a person, they usually wet themselves or pass out, so animals getting scared is nothing new. Maybe it is because of the 6th Demon King's heart, and they are sensing that ominous aura. Anyways, they both start cleaning, and they end up refining it until the shed looks like a shining new place. After that, Arya tries to intimidate the sheep and aggressively shouts at them to get inside, but it is in vain. Blancc just says get in, and all the sheep rush inside like they are on payroll. Arya is so amazed that she grabs his hand and asks if she makes a request for him to teach her intimidation. Would he accept it? He agrees, saying if it is only this much, he can do it. The old lady returns and gets amazed to see they already complete the work they are asked. She says her babies are so moody, so she asks if it is tough, and Blancc replies they are perfectly well behaved, which is only true for him. The old lady gets impressed and decides to call them again, and hearing that, the sheep start crying like they understand they are about to see hell again. It is honestly kind of funny and kind of sad. Back at the guild, Blancc reports that he will be taking 1 month off. Arya gets worried he is taking off because she is a slow learner, but he reassures her she is doing well, and she just needs to stay consistent. She turns cheerful after hearing this, and she starts practicing how to look intimidating, while Gajel stands there and asks why she is making ugly faces. Blancc turns back to Lena about taking time off, and she tells him he does not even need to report it to the guild if he ever wants to. Blanc's eyes start spinning, maybe from excitement, because back in the Black Emperor days, rest is not even allowed, and he has to file a request beforehand unless it is an extreme situation. Lena asks if he is going anywhere during these off days, and he tells her he is going back home to the Radiola Empire. It reminds Lena that it is where the Black Emperor used to be most active, but she has not heard about him lately, so she wonders what he is up to now. Blancc looks over and sees Arya and Gajel arguing. Then he comments that the Black Emperor is probably living his best life. Gajel walks up and asks if he is really taking 1 month off, and when Blancc asks if it is a problem, Gajel admits he is going to miss him. Arya says the same, because obviously she will miss him too. While they are at it, Off also shows up and they all see him off for his vacation. Back there, Regina hears about Blanc's home country and says she did not expect he comes from such a major place, only to end up at a tiny guild like theirs. After all, the Radiola Empire is known for having the most zero-class adventurers, and the main guild branch is there too, so it is a real curiosity why Blancc registered here of all places. Lena does not want to pry into an adventurer's past, but Regina asks if she would not hate her boyfriend having skeletons in his closet. Lena gets flustered and denies she is not into him, but Regina keeps teasing her and says if she has to choose, she should go for a better man with ambitions. While they argue, our poor guy is already on his way back home and keeps sneezing like the universe is talking trash about him. It takes a month to get to the Radiola Empire from Claret on foot, a week if he takes a carriage, and 5 days at best on a wind chariot drawn by magical beasts. At the end, our little baby chooses walking there by foot. On the way, a carriage driven by an old man stops and warns him that walking through this area is dangerous. Right as he says it, a horde of wild pigs charges at them, and Blancc easily knocks them out with one strike. Seeing his bravery, the people on the carriage start giving him their thanks and offer to give him a ride. Blancc appreciates their offer, but he says he would like to make the journey on foot. Then a little girl gives him a candy as a token of thanks for saving them from those terrible monsters. As they move ahead, he thinks it must be a good omen to start the trip by saving some travelers. He gulps down the candy and realizes he has never tasted anything this good before, so he hopes they sell it in the capital. Poor baby really did not get to enjoy and try candies that little ones cannot live without. Anyways, he would not have minded a leisurely wagon ride, but he reported to the guild that he will take a month off, so he is not in a rush. He decides to avoid the main path, cut through the mountains unnoticed and take a shortcut. He is excited about the trip through the wilderness after a long time, and he wants to enjoy fresh air and relax. While jumping around the forest like a ninja, he starts getting bored and his mind drifts into random thoughts. Then he suddenly feels a strange aura, and his curiosity wins. He follows it and ends up near a barrier, the same kind as in the sewer, but slightly weaker. Instead of breaking it, he slips through and spots some bandits yapping about something important. They say they are working for some people who are busy performing a special experiment, and thanks to it, they are living a better life. One ugly guy talks about stealing some fun for themselves, which is actually forcing on the captive girls. When the other fatso warns him not to overdo it, the ugly one shrugs and says it is not his fault. He claims they are already broken by the time they hand girls over to them, which makes Blanc's blood boil. The second Blancc realizes girls are involved, he does not wait another second. He throws a rock to distract the other guy, then runs a dagger through the ugly man's neck. The fatso spins around, but Blancc plants a dagger into his forehead with a clean bullseye. Blancc regrets realizing he acts on impulse. Otherwise, if he lets them talk a little longer, he could have gotten more intel. Still, he pulls his dagger back and moves toward the building without hesitation. He focuses his senses like it is Byakugan and checks what is inside. He spots a handful of human signatures and some faint ones, which makes his jaw tighten. He decides to save them, whether they are guinea pigs for experiments or playthings for these pathetic creeps. Back then, he gets taught countless times to help people in need, and now he finally gets what that really means. He throws on a mask and robe looking like a copy of Ken Kaneki. Next thing you know, he storms in and slaughters all the guys inside. Blancc sees golems lying near the dead bodies of those horrible boys, and the moment they activate for an attack, he moves first and breaks them into pieces. He does it so fast it looks effortless. Some fellows in the next room hear the commotion and start rushing in. He could face them head on, but if they get ahead of him and take hostages, that becomes a real problem. So he rushes forward by sensing their presence coming from the room. He pushes through because saving the girls matters more than looking cool. He opens the gate and gets surprised to see several kids tied up on the bed. Suddenly his head starts to crack open, and some of his memories flash before his eyes, and it hurts like hell. He forces himself to pull it together and tells himself it is not time to think about that. He moves toward the prison where several little lilies are captured, and they nervously ask who he is. He simply says he has come to save them and slashes through the bars to free them. Those girls burst into crying out of happiness, like their bodies finally remember they are allowed to breathe. He tells them they have to go right now since bandits will be here at any moment. He also sees some girls who died in this prison while waiting for someone to come for their help, and that makes his stomach turn. He puts them on the ground and says they may rest in peace. As they come outside, he hears the banging on the gate getting louder. He tells the black-haired girl that he will handle those bandits, and if he can trust her to take care of everyone. She agrees right away, even though she looks scared. One girl turns around and gets appalled to see kids tied to the bed for experiments. Blancc asks the black-haired girl if they did not know about this place, and she tells him they are always moved with blindfolds and have not seen anything outside. They help the child get up, and Blancc reassures them that the minds of the kids are clouded with drugs, but they are unharmed, and they will be fine. Blancc leaves the room, questioning how he even knows those kids will be fine. Ever since he has come here, nothing makes sense, and his chest feels tight like it is twisting. Bandits are already waiting for him, and an old man steps forward to talk big, asking if Blancc is really here to free them out of some half-baked justice, and he complains they were about to have fun before Blancc ruins everything. The old man keeps blurting and calls him an idiot for showing up. Blancc just stares at them with dull eyes. Another old man steps forward and tries to force him to say something. He does not even get a full word out before Blancc strikes them down in the blink of an eye. In seconds, the crowd drops and only one man is left standing. Blancc walks up, grabs him by the neck and demands to know who they really are and what their aim is. The man panics and asks who Blancc even is. Blancc answers by cutting down his limbs and making him crash to the ground. Then he repeats the same question, asking who they are. The old man finally spills it and claims he does not know the full story. They are just following orders from a mysterious guy who always wears a hoodie, so no one ever sees his face. According to him, the deal is simple and ugly. If they give the hooded guy a place and some muscle, they can hit passing caravans and hand over the kids in return. He begs Blancc to spare him and swears they have nothing to do with running the place. The girls rush out of the room and ask what happened in there. Blancc tells them the bandits who kidnapped them are here, and this ugly man is their leader. He says his work is done, and they can do whatever they want with him now. Their anger and frustration finally explode, and they beat him to a pulp. Blancc goes back to the little kids who are held captive and checks on them. He can tell they need time to recover, even if they are finally safe. Again, his head hits him with that pulsating pain, and fragments of memories flash in front of his eyes. He pushes it aside for now and decides he will ask his master about it later. He returns to the girls and asks what they plan to do now. The poor girls admit they lose everything, their families and homes, and they have nowhere left to go. So he decides to load the kids onto a carriage and asks the girls to help him get everyone to the Radiola Empire. He plans to request protection for them there since Garston is a large, prosperous city and its lord is a good man who can help them settle safely. They start moving, sticking together like a small convoy, and after a few days they finally catch a glimpse of the city. The sight makes the girls excited, like they can breathe again for the first time. Outside the city, we see our mommy Cluall standing there, already sensing Blanc's presence. She comments that he seems to be doing well. Blancc disappears from this point. The kids are taken to the hospitals and the girls are presented before the lord of the city to explain everything to him. He comments that the strange things that happen there do not feel like a simple bandit plan, and he has never heard of any bandit gang strong enough to base themselves in such a dangerous forest range. A doctor cuts him off and explains the kids will get better with time. However, identifying the exact drug used on them seems difficult. The old man asks the girls if they know anything about their savior, since he told them the kids would regain their senses. That means he probably knows something about the facility, but they decline and say only that he was young and he seemed shocked by what he saw. They add that at some point he looked lost, like he was trying to process it all. The old man cannot control his frustration and loudly asks if he did not know about the facility, then how he knew about the kid's condition. The girls get terrified and stammer that they have no clue. The old man pulls himself together, apologizes for pressuring them. Even so, he starts taking interest in Blancc, thinking the guy protected all of them and crossed the Biald forest range alone. On top of that, he wiped out a whole group of ugly bandits without causing much trouble, which is honestly crazy. That kind of strength is fascinating, yet they have no reports of anyone like him nearby. That mystery makes the old man even more curious about who Blancc really is. The girls ask what will happen to them now. The old man promises every kind of aid and support, and he says they are welcome to stay in the city, or if they prefer to return home, he will make sure they get back safely. Hearing that makes the girls visibly relieved and excited. Since they must be exhausted, the old man tells them to go rest, After they leave, a butler leans in and whispers that their birthplaces are all different. That suggests the bandits use teleportation magic to strike across multiple locations. Old Man decides to report it to the capital at once and start an investigation. Blancc is in the Blackwood Forest, a high mana zone where dangerous monsters roam around like they own the place. Its name comes from the leaves stained black by ambient mana, and even though there is no demon lord here, its danger still rivals the demonwood. The place feels weirdly nostalgic to Blancc, reminding him how he used to get forced to train with the sword out here, and that is probably why he is so good at sensing presence now. While he notices something off about his master's house, several ferocious monsters plunge at him from behind, trying to gobble him up. He instantly knocks them out without even budging a foot like they are pathetic warm-ups. He closes his eyes and senses people around his master's house, silently spying and investigating her because they are searching for him. Cluall never told them where he is, so those ugly idiots will not get anything useful, and even if she knows, she is not talking. So he decides to use the back way into her house. There is a ruin behind it where no monsters ever show up, which is weird as hell, and a ruin this obvious should have been searched top to bottom by now. He finds a statue from his memories and stabs his sword into certain points on the floor. A staircase appears right there, and he goes down the stairs where he realizes the bulbs are actually light stones that absorb live mana, then toggle themselves on and off. He immediately decides he wants one at home because that is just too clean. Suddenly he triggers a trap that almost strikes him dead, but he dodges it in time. He is shocked he did not sense it until it was right in front of him because only one person can pull that kind of sneaky bullshit off. His master Cluall steps out like she is waiting for him the whole time and welcomes him home in the weirdest way possible. The second they meet, they start sparring. Cluall strikes first and he blocks her cleanly, which actually impresses her. She says it looks like he did not waste those 3 years, and he admits he could not risk using magic. She explains that if he uses magic, the people hunting him might catch his trail, and that is exactly why she trained him to rely on it back when he was working as an adventurer. On top of that, she reminds him his natural mana was way too high to be left unchecked, so she drilled magic control into him until he could handle it himself. However, her real specialty is the sword, so she hammered swordsmanship into him too, and now it is finally paying off. He gets uneasy, wondering if he really was that dangerous back then. He thought he had finally stood on his own, but realizing she has been protecting him the whole time hits him hard. So he lowers his tone and thanks her, and his respect for her jumps tenfold. Cluall smirks like she already knows, and says if he has improved this much, then she should test those skills properly. He tries to stop it, saying if they go too wild the spies will notice, but she brushes it off and says adventurers at that level will not notice anything. Besides, they finally meet again, so they should make the most of it. In the blink of an eye, she appears behind him and he barely dodges by springing upward. He tells her to wait, but she just grins and dares him to come at her without holding back. He is already trying his best, but she is still one step ahead, and closes the distance in an instant to throw a brutal kick. He cannot believe he used to survive that, and the impact sends him flying like his life just got fast-forwarded. However, she catches up immediately, and stops him from crashing too hard. Then she scoops him up in her arms like a parent grabbing a kid before they faceplant, and he can only wheeze out that he still cannot catch up to her. She answers that she will not let him catch up either, because she has lived with the sword alone, but he is also stronger now, so he should not let it get to his head. He knows she is holding back because if she went all out, that narrow passage would have vanished. Still, he has grown enough to at least feel the gap between them, so he complains that she should warn him first. Instead, she throws him again without warning, and he says in a broken voice that this is exactly what he means. She giggles, says he really has grown, and then pulls him into a tight, warm hug. He tries to resist, saying he is grown now, but she calmly welcomes him home. Feeling the emotion in her voice, he finally hugs her back and quietly says he is back home. Cluall asks why he returns so suddenly, and whether his life in Claret has settled down before he comes back to report. He says yes, but he also tells her he has something important to ask. He draws a symbol and shows it to her, asking if she knows what it is. She looks shocked at first, then snatches the paper and demands to know where he even saw this. He admits he cannot figure it out either, which is exactly why he brings it to her. Cluall suddenly tells him to draw a dog, and he sketches the creepiest creature imaginable, then confidently calls it a dog. She bursts out laughing and cannot even hold it back, but once she settles down, her expression turns serious again. She tells him to describe what he sensed when he looked at that crest, because she already understands what he is trying to say. Blancc explains it looks like a human in profile facing a demon, and below them everything is tangled together like they are mixing into one. Cluall quickly redraws it based on his description, and he immediately confirms it is the exact same symbol he saw in Claret's sewers, and again in that facility in the Bierad Mountains where people are doing experiments. Cluall goes stiff, then her killing intent explodes out of her like a blade. Blancc stops her fast, but the people outside still feel it and probably pass out on the spot, while she does not care at all. Blancc demands to know what that crest really is. Cluall explains that it is the crest of the Magian Society, a group born from demons and humans joining forces. Blancc looks confused and asks if demons have actually sided with humanity, but she shuts that down and says the demons involved have betrayed their progenitors, the demon lords, and now act on their own. She tells him they have been researching the fusion of demons and humans to create a new race, and that is why they abduct people and use them as raw material for their tests. Then she shows him a bottle of blood and explains it is a reagent, likely made from monster blood, and they inject it so it spreads through the body from the inside. At first it only clouds the mind, and people can still recover on their own, but as it progresses they become delirious and lose their reason completely. Years ago, zero-ranked adventurers, including her, along with the National Knights, wiped them out, yet it looks like the remnants have resurfaced. Blancc suggests they should report it to the kingdom, but she aggressively forbids him from getting involved because this is on them for failing to eradicate it the first time. She gently pats his head and tells him he is free now, and already started a new life, so he should live it without worrying about her. He says, "Understood," but his face clearly says the opposite. Right then, someone starts rampaging at the entrance, and he assumes it is one of the spies. But Cluall calms him down and says she knows that presence. It turns out to be Regina. She runs straight to Cluall, hugs her tight, and starts crying from happiness because she finally meets her again after so long. Blancc notices they know each other, but he leaves it alone and decides to make tea, thinking he learned how to brew it properly, and his master will be surprised. While Regina is still crying, she tells Cluall the Black Emperor quit, and that is when Blancc looks up and meets Regina's eyes. Regina immediately gets hostile and demands to know who he is. Cluall grabs her heads like she already knows trouble is about to explode. Cluall introduces Blancc and Regina to each other and tells Regina that he is her disciple. When Cluall starts explaining what he is doing now, Regina cuts her off and brings up the Black Emperor, demanding to know what it means that he quit and where he is now. Cluall tries to calm her down and tells her to pull herself together, because it is old news, and it has been 3 years since he left. Regina says she has been stuck on Tenrai Mountain for years because of a job, so she never got any updates, and then she breaks down in tears because she finally finishes that mission, and returns only to find out he quit. She cannot understand why he would throw away his rank 0 status like it meant nothing. Blancc watches her and realizes that if she survived Tenrai Mountain alone, she has to be insanely strong, and he even feels a quiet spark of pride, because it makes sense that someone trained under Cluall would be built like that. Cluall welcomes Regina back more warmly, and tells her not to obsess over titles, because not everyone lives for their status. She says Black Emperor found something more important than being rank 0, and that is why he walked away. Blancc opens his eyes in surprise and wonders if she is really living his own life. He admits, at least to himself, that the way he is living now feels more fulfilling than before, and he is actually enjoying it, even if most days he is just doing whatever he wants. Still, if his master says so, it must be important to him. Blancc makes a cute face that makes you want to pinch his cheeks, and Cluall actually giggles when she sees it. Then she helps Regina back up and asks if she is free, now after she finished that long-term job. When Regina says she has not even taken another request yet, Cluall casually drops a new one on her, telling her to look after Blancc for a while. The two of them both freeze like they just get hit by an electric shock. Cluall sweetens it right away, saying that if Regina accepts, she will tell her where the Black Emperor is. Regina does not even hesitate. She accepts on the spot and hooks an arm around Blancc like she already claims responsibility for him. Blancc, on the other hand, clearly does not want to get dragged into this, so he reaches out to Cluall like he is silently begging for help. Cluall only smiles back, so he awkwardly pulls his hand in and resigns himself to being in Regina's care. Since they are both wiped out from the trip, Cluall tells them to stay the night and get real rest. Blancc heads to his room, and the second he steps inside, he realizes it is exactly the same as he left it. At first he assumed she would have cleaned it up after taking other disciples, but then it hits him that she never took anyone else in while he was there. That makes his mind wander even further, because now all the missing pieces about his past start clawing at him again, and the same restless feeling he felt at that facility creeps under his skin like he lost something important and cannot name it. A knock lands on his door, and when he opens it, Regina stands there. He asks if something is wrong, and she looks him up and down before bluntly saying he really is a mess, just like she thought earlier. Then she gets to the point and tells him the bath is free now, so he should go while he can. She also delivers a message from Cluall, which is, "Don't sink," and Regina admits she has no idea what that means. Blancc definitely knows what it means though, because this boy loves sinking into water like it is his favorite hobby. Blancc steps out of the bathroom and immediately spots Regina arguing with Cluall in the next room. He asks what is going on, and Regina quickly replies that Cluall has cooked dinner for them. That alone gets him excited because it has been a long time since he ate Cluall's cooking, even though he cannot remember what it tasted like back then. The second he says that out loud, both Regina and even Cluall stare at him like he just said something insane. Cluall tells him he and the other disciples used to complain non-stop, and he understands exactly why the moment he takes his first bite. The food is completely tasteless. Cluall asks him how it is and he tries to be polite, so he says he can really taste the ingredients. He is not even lying because he can taste them separately, like they never meet in the middle. Regina quickly changes the topic and asks what brings him back here. While he happily sprinkles salt all over his plate and eats like nothing is wrong, he tells her he wanted to see his master, and he also figured he might do a little sightseeing. Regina squints at Cluall and asks if he is really her disciple, because he spaces out all the time and looks so weak. Cluall only chuckles and plays along, saying he is 8th rank after all. Regina looks even more confused and asks how he even made it to this house, because the forest is dangerous and most adventurers cannot get anywhere near it. Cluall lies smoothly and says she went to pick him up herself, because she could not exactly reject her disciple when he came all this way to see her. Blancc pouts like a kid and turns his face away. Then he asks Regina why she is so fixated on the Black Emperor. Her expression softens right away, and she finally admits he saved her life once. Since then, she admired him so much that she wanted to stand beside him someday and take jobs together, which was why she begs Cluall to train her. Even Cluall adds that she got impressed by Regina's enthusiasm back then. Blancc sits there quietly, because he does not remember meeting her at all. Regina continues that she went through every kind of training to become someone worthy of him, and even after all that, she still could not meet him. When she starts crying again, he gently asks what she means when she says he saved her. She tells him she is one of the survivors from the Mulan Park tragedy. Hearing that name, he goes quiet, because it clearly is not some small incident. There is a Class 1 designated monster called Undead King Assault, and it reigns at the top of all undead-type monsters. Only light element attacks work on it, which already makes it a nightmare for most adventurers. She says 5 of them appeared at once, leading 10,000 monsters and wiped out a whole duchy in a single night. Worse, if an undead king takes your life, you get absorbed straight into its army and become one of its troops. The guild deemed it an extreme condition and sent the Black Emperor, but by the time he arrived, countless lives were already lost. People were getting slaughtered by those who were once their own, and the horror just kept looping. Regina says she survived only because of the Black Emperor, but her whole family died. After that, she became an adventurer, so a tragedy like that never happens again. Now she made her way to Class 1 through pure stubborn effort, and it shows. He praises her, telling her she worked her ass off for it. She immediately demands even more praise and he keeps going, appreciating her properly. Cluall watches them with a calm, proud look, like a mother seeing her kids finally make it through something. After that, Regina goes to bed first so she can finally sleep. Blancc stays behind and does the dishes, keeping things quiet. Later, Cluall walks in wearing her night suit, holding a bottle of wine, and asks him to stay for a drink. He resists and says he never drinks before, but she reassures him it will not affect him because of his poison resistance. While she pours him some wine, she asks if his new life feels fulfilling and whether he is actually enjoying it. Claret sits right beside the 3rd Demon King's territory, which is more than enough danger for any adventurer, so she wants to hear it from his own mouth. The second he takes a sip, his eyelids get heavy, and he mumbles that she is insanely powerful. Cluall freezes for a beat and asks if he really fought her, and he nods, saying they managed to make peace in the end. He keeps talking, half sleepy but weirdly excited, saying everything else is really good too. He takes jobs, made some friends, and even starts doing quests with them. Plus, the guild asks him to help train rookies. After work, they grab food together and people show him parts of town he never even noticed before. On top of that, they already start calling him Errand Boy, even though he has not even been there that long. He keeps ranting until he suddenly squints at her and asks if the drink is really that good, because she looks way too happy. She chuckles and says she never thought the day will come when he could notice someone else's mood like that, and she is genuinely glad he is living a fulfilling life. Then her tone shifts, and she asks how he felt when he saw the victims in the Magin Society. His face goes pale and he apologizes because he does not know how to put it into words, but she tells him to take his time and explain it properly. He says it felt like something filthy got stuck deep in his gut, while his chest twisted up and the whole world turned red. He lost control, and he could stop himself from wanting to take them down, and he admits he has never felt anything like that before. That is why he asks her if something is wrong with him. Cluall reassures him there is nothing to worry about, because he sees something horrific and he finally learns what frustration and anger actually feel like. She tells him the fact he can feel any of it proves he grows as a person, and that makes her happy, even if he cannot fully understand those emotions yet. She says it is still fine. She gently pats his head again and offers to let him sleep in the same room tonight, like they used to before. He refuses in a polite, stubborn way, saying it is too cramped, and they end up just sharing a rare, peaceful moment together, not realizing a storm is already brewing for them. A chaotic meeting is going on among members of the Magin Society. A guy named Gior is pissed off, yelling at the guy with glasses named Alan, who was involved in the sewer incident, and asking if they still have not found the guy who picked a fight with the Magin Society. He blames Alan for making trash barriers, so Alan argues back that his spell barriers are flawless unless someone with Class 0 or Class 1 skills runs into them. Gior keeps giving him an earful, and then he shouts at another guy named Jerusa, saying the lab in the Beald region was under his care, yet it still got wrecked. So what is his explanation? Giruza has our spirit animal energy, always drowsy for no reason, and he says he has no reports of such adventurers in Claret or near the Beald range. There is also a demon guy named Dreas, so Alan asks for his opinion. Dreas looks sharp, and he comes to one conclusion, that it can be the Black Emperor. The others end up aligning with that idea too, since he is still a Class 0 adventurer who is missing out there, and he might have spotted their labs and crushed them. Dryas adds that he investigated the murder case of the Black Dragon of Demon Lord Lily, and stumbled on the possibility that the Black Emperor might be their number 6 guinea pig. The room goes tense, and the others get shaken by the news, wondering if they failed to make him go berserk when he went against the Sword Saint, and then they heard she takes him down. Giruza adds that the Sword Saint is the one who brings the Black Emperor in the first place, and now everything starts making sense. Alan makes a creepy madman face and says if their number 6 is out there, then they should capture him again and continue their research. Drias asks how they are supposed to capture him when the guild searchy for him for 3 years and they still do not know what he looks like or what his magic signature is. That is why they have to move with a plan. The guild's main branch should have his magic data on file, so Drias assigns Giruza to get his hands on that data first. Dria asks if he is sure, since that country still has the Sword Saint. Giruza arrogantly claims she is no threat with that power difference, and he swears he will get number 6 back at any cost. Blancc and Regina have been strangely powerful from the start, and people stared at them for the same reason, so neither of them ever really managed to form a party before. Cluall wanted them to learn what real comrades felt like, so she suggested they head out together, and it quickly looks like they actually get along. She steps out into the forest, where she calls her pigeon on short notice, and sends it off again with some kind of message. She thinks Blancc finally learned how to carry emotions like a real person, which means his second life is genuinely joyful, and she is not about to let anyone lay a hand on that hard-won freedom. Meanwhile, Blancc and Regina move through a thriving town, and he cannot contain himself at all. He drifts from stall to stall, asking what this is and what that is, acting like he has never seen any of it before because in a weird way he really is living a new life from scratch. Regina tries to calm him down and hands him a candy, saying he must have spent time here already since he is Cluall's disciple, and stuff like this is not rare in the capital. While he chews on it, he admits everything feels nostalgic, but the truth is he barely remembers this place. Even so, he came here to sightsee, so Regina agrees to play tour guide for him, just like Cluall tells her to. The first thing they need is a place to stay, so Regina takes him to a building that looks refined, spotless and well kept, and this is the one she clearly uses a lot. She also tells him not to stress about paying, since he is a grade 8 adventurer, but she is class 1 and makes decent money. Blancc quietly wonders if this is some unspoken rank rule, and if he refuses too hard it might look suspicious. Instead, he bows to her and thanks her for taking care of him. After they drop their goods, they head out to grab something delicious. A long line stretches outside one shop, which pretty much confirms the food is popular for a reason. The specialty is called feather python silk wraps, and when their turn finally comes, the smell alone almost knocks him out. It looks so mouth-watering that he cannot resist, and he digs in the second it hits his hands.